Good morning and welcome to Valley Views. I'm your host, Glenn Edison, and certainly glad to have you today. And we're thankful for BTC Fiber, sponsor of our program. You can see us on their BTC Fiber Channel 18 as well as their BTC Fiber YouTube page. Go there, subscribe, and like us and follow us there. Also on our Facebook page. We appreciate you very much. Today we have with us Carson Kemp. He's the Vice President of the Sequatchie Valley Historical Association. And Carson, it's great to have you with us today.
Glad to be here.
And we know we've got a big event coming up soon.
Right.
Real soon, actually. About, what, 2 weeks? 2.5 weeks?
Around 2 weeks.
Yeah.
June the 4th and 5th.
And the Coke Ovens, their annual Coke Ovens, this is the 34th, right?
34 years.
Wow, it seems like, I remember when it started, and that's been a long time. It's probably other than the 4th of July parade, it's probably one of the longest things going on.
We've tried to keep that thing going, so it's progressed into, of course, it's our only fundraiser. That's the only event that we normally have that we generate some revenue off of, and that's our operating capital for the whole park.
Right. And that of course, the park itself. There's a lot of things people don't understand. Just general upkeep and keeping the place, the grass cut and things clean.
Yeah, we have some dedicated volunteers. There's not many of us now. We're actually working volunteers that actually maintain the park. There's 4 of us. So. That's 83-acre facility and museum. So we have more members than that, but people who actually are able to go out and help mow the grass, weed eat, build projects, maintain the museum, all those different things are done by 4 of us right now.
Right.
We do have some really good people, and none of us are young anymore, so it makes it harder. But our president, Hugh Jordan, he likes to weed eat. Now, I've never met a person that likes to weed eat. He's got an electric string trimmer, and he's dedicated to taking care of every tree in the park and manicure around it. And I don't understand. He worked on the space shuttle. He's moved up here from Florida, and he worked for NASA on the space shuttle program. So he's got a connection to the valley, and his ancestors were working in coal mines. So, and then got a new. He's been with our organization about 4 years. Yeah. He lives over in Hudlow Ridge, and Gary McDowell. He's pretty much handyman. We've utilized him in many different ways.
Well, and I know I can remember when it first started, that place was atrocious. It was covered up in weeds. It just overgrown and trash. And
all actuality, a lot of people don't realize. An estimate was kind of figured based on tonnage. That would go on a garbage truck. We estimated there was about 1,000 tons of garbage at the Coke Ovens when we started the park in 1984. A lot of people just don't remember it, especially if you're new to the area, but that was the worst eyesore in our county. And it got the reputation as that. It was the slate dump. That's where your people who were alcoholics would go up there and sit and drink their beer or whatever. People would go up there and shoot the beer bottles off the slate dump with their guns, and a lot of homes in that area had got bullets because it was a wooded area. It grew up, and they couldn't see the homes that were down, fairly close to there. So bullets would go through the woods and strike people's homes from people target practice. And so the worst thing, I know someone told me, a lady that lived up there that lived next to the park, she said one summer on the 4th, a chicken house somewhere down here in the county had a very hot summer, and the chickens died, and because that was the dump. they brought a truckload of dead chickens and dumped them out on the 4th of July weekend. And they had to smell those for quite a long time. The very first tour that we ever gave in 1985 was covered by the media. We had 85 people show up the very first time we were trying to get attention that this needs to be saved. And I had the first interaction I had with the city at that time was to see if they could come up there. I think there were 7 dead animals, dogs, that had been tossed out up there, and it was bad. So they did bring a backhoe and dig a hole and put those carcasses in there. That was so we could just get people to walk around. It was still, the garbage was still there, but that was what led to Bowater donating the original 61.61 acres, because that was a problem area for their properties. They couldn't maintain it, and then once we got it on the National Register of Historic Places, they then offered to donate the land to protect it. So we're up to 83 acres in land that the Historical Association has involved with that 61 acres that we got initially from Bowater. So it's not maintained with tax money. Our funds are generated by this upcoming Bluegrass Festival. So that's kind of a unique, we're one of the largest historic sites in the valley, operated totally by volunteers. So that's everything from mowing to building structures, the museum, all those different things are volunteer oriented. Now we have in times past got some small grants, but we do not ask the city or county currently for any assets from their tax rolls. We provide for our own. We pay for garbage service, water bill, electric bill, insurance. All that comes out of our monies that we raise off our Bluegrass Festival. And there's no paid employees. So a lot of people want to know why we're not open on the weekend, through the week. And we will open up for almost anybody that asks to come up there, but because of our limited number of volunteers, and it's not profitable enough for us to have lights on every day. So we open on the weekends, and then right now we are doing work days every Tuesday and every Thursday. And those are volunteer work days, and those are the days we dedicate mowing, cleaning, building, repairing, cutting trees, mainly tree removal. It's a lot of trees up there, and a lot of old trees, and a lot of trees that have problems. So we're continually got a tree that we have to deal with. So,
I'm sure you do.
But we're able to handle it, and we're fortunate. We hope it's an asset to this region.
Well, I think so, because we've had over the years, numbers have attended the festival, and I know now. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. Now, last year you had the performers on Coca in front of the museum, but you're on the stage this year.
Yeah, we're back to the amphitheater during the COVID Chinese virus, whatever people want to call it. That changed our plan for the June festival last year, and so we decided to move it to October. In years past, we used to have an October fall festival, so we moved it to the front of the museum. That was a slow attendance thing that we had. We were successful with it, but at the same time, everybody wants to go to the amphitheater. It has the best acoustics of any place in the valley.
It does.
It takes very little amplification. We really could just about have a acoustic event only there, and people would still be able to hear. But it takes very little because it's a natural bow-shaped. It was originally the site of the railroads that came around from the coal washer. So those elevations that people see were not put in there by us. They were built for the railroads to get the locomotives on top of the coke oven. So that particular area was excavated in 1916, and when it was chosen, Ed Brown and myself went out and took a tape recorder. Back then it was a cassette tape player and a little megaphone thing, and we set it there and we walked around and searched for the place that had the best sound. At that time, that place was Sawbriars and Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
And we set those on the ovens. That was the site chosen because of the best acoustics. And I'll actually, the higher you go up on the amphitheater, the sound will never vary from, even if you're on the front row.
Yeah.
And that's unique. And so after we got it cleaned off and my wife came down with, she got poison ivy so bad from clearing that area that she ended up having to go to the doctor and have some shots because she broke out terribly in poison ivy. So that's not there now, and so this is our 34th annual festival in the park, and it's mainly local musicians, but we're doing something different this year.
Yeah, elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's this will be Friday night. We were going to limit our festival this year to Saturday only, and we had a bluegrass musician band called Fast Track. They're a Nashville bluegrass group, but one of their members has moved to Bledsoe County, and he happens to be married to my wife's niece. They actually got married at the coke ovens. They got married on stage. So he's got really enthused about that, and he goes all over the United States, plays music. He's played professionally with a lot of other bands, top bluegrass bands, but they formed their own group, and it's called Fast Track, and they were looking for a venue because they've been like everybody else. They couldn't travel to other states because of COVID, and so now they're opening up. I know they're playing 3 locations. Even they've got a performance in Las Vegas here in the next week. I think I talked to him the other day and said they're going to Las Vegas, to Midwest cities. It's a week-long flights. They're going from place to place, and but they wanted to use our stage, and wouldn't know if we would allow them to put on a concert, and you're going to get a percentage of that, a small percentage. So this will be a first for us to allow that. But because Friday was open, we weren't going to do anything on stage. So they have taken Friday night, and they're going to put on a bluegrass concert. There's going to be another group there. I think I've got it on the schedule, but it's
Double Cross.
Double Cross, and there's some local, really good musicians are going to play as their lead-up band to their. So it's a concert. I think it's $10, and it will be a very fast-paced bluegrass show. So they're real hot. They're in the charts in Nashville, and so we're anxious to see that go off, and then that'll be the kickoff to our bluegrass festival the following day, which will be Saturday, and we have 8 complete bands scheduled. Ed Brown chose the bands. He's our professional musician. He's been past president of he's on our board of directors, and Ed. We trust his judgment. He knows music better than anybody.
He sure does.
And so he's got some good bands lined up, 8 bands lined up for our festival, and we are hopeful for weather. We will have it rain or shine. If it rains, we're going to have that Bluegrass Festival. It'll just be moved to the pavilion. So, that's when you have outdoor events, you take how it goes.
Right.
But that is our only fundraiser, and that will be a $10 donation to the park, and all the money goes to the park. We do have sponsors. this year. Some really good sponsors. We've got 3 sponsors that are sponsoring, and one of them is Dunlap Mercantile. Citizens Bank has been our 34-year sponsor.
Wow.
For 34 years, they have sponsored the money that we usually pay out to our bands. And that's been a big help. Benny Hatfield was one of our members all those years ago, and he's on the board of directors of the bank, and he told us then, he said, want to help y'all, and as long as I'm on the board of directors, we're going to help you. So we know that may end one day, but they have assisted us. And then this year we've got BTC Fiber has come on board and gave us some funds, and are very helpful. I'm very happy to have them be involved. They're really an asset to this valley.
Yes, they are.
I know they're responsible for what's going on here, and they've been supportive, I know, of Valley Fest, and we try as a organization, the Sequatchie Valley Historical Association, not to go around to the local businesses and beg for funds. I've made that one of my mottos, that we want people to volunteer if they feel inclined to.
Right.
And so it's worked out better for us, and we want people to understand we're trying to preserve history, get recognition for our county, for our valley, because we are Sequatchie Valley Historical Association. So we started out as an initial historic site for the Cocoven Park, which is nationally registered, and but now, some years ago, they determined that a road that goes to the park is a certified section of the National Trail of Tears route.
Okay.
And it is also now on the National Register through the National Park Service. There's some big news getting ready to happen that will benefit the park. The National Trail of Tears Association, the Tennessee chapter, lady was at the Cocovens last week. She is looks like going to be able to help us to be certified as a National Trail of Tears certified site and interpretive center. So we will get state signs or federal signs through Dunlap directing you to the Cocovens so that you can learn what the Trail of Tears. We have the actual Trail of Tears site in the park. The old roadbed is now well marked. Every 100 feet is a marker denoting, and little signboards, and that was done by a Hobbs boy for an Eagle Scout project. And so this lady was fascinated that we had done all this without any federal funds, and other than the national park's involvement in trying to locate a road that went through Sequatchie County called the Hill Road. And that happens to be in our deed that is on the back side of our amphitheater, is a road that goes up Fredonia Mountain. And based on a diary kept by a Reverend Daniel Buttrick, he was traveling with a Cherokee when they left Chattanooga at the Brainerd Mission, and he kept a daily log, a journal, and he records their journey through the Sequatchie Valley, across Henson Gap, down here through Dunlap, and they camped. Now is understood that this was the Cocoven site. They camped there because they were at the base of the Cumberland Mountain. There was a tavern next door, and he mentions that. And Ivan Condra helped me years ago to determine that based on old deed records, there's an area near the Cocovens that was called the Beer Stand on old deeds. And that happens to be the tavern that Daniel Buttrick was, his complimentary writing about the Sequatchie Valley was not real flattering. He said that was in November of 1838, when the Cherokee were coming through here, a group of 1,000 pulling oxen. Oxen were pulling wagons, 60 wagons. The Cherokee children and the old were in the wagons, and everybody else was walking. When they camped at the base of that mountain, he said the Sequatchie Valley, in his actual words, and you can look it up on the diary, we have a copy of it in the museum, was the den of Sodom. The most evil and wicked people on earth lived here. And that was his words for this area. Dunlap did not exist then. And even though, it was a rough, and it had been Indian Cherokee lands before that, and the government ceded it, but this road was a access road built in the 1830s between McMinnville and Dunlap, kind of like a stage road, but it was named after Mr. Hill, who had a mill over there, and they were getting grain up the mountain to his mill from the Sequatchie Valley. And this was the early settlers, rough people, trapped and hunted and started farming. And so this would probably been a Wild West time. So that was history that we did not realize when the development of the park was begun. This all came later. And now it's considered by the National Park Service as a pristine section of the original Trail of Tears. You can walk where those wagons went up the mountain. So we have it marked, and it's interesting that even the chief of the Cherokee Nation from Oklahoma was brought here by the National Park Service to see this.
Really?
And the only problem was they didn't notify us they were going to do this, and nobody was in town that day. And they came, and the guys from the National Park Service were at Moccasin Bend. They were doing a big thing about they're going to turn that into a national park. And the guys from the Trail of Tears Association out of New Mexico had been here one time, and they thought they could just take him right to it. Well, they had forgotten. And they got there and they couldn't find the Trail of Tears. It wasn't marked then. And it was after the fact. They had left messages trying to reach one of us. But they didn't let us know ahead of time. So that was we would have made a big publicity thing about having Cherokee Nation from Oklahoma here. But it is deemed to be a very historic area, and we will get these federal signs on the highway. If you've been across Poe Road, across Lewis Chapel, and you get into Hamilton County, you'll see all these National Trail of Tears route signs, and those were the ones that got there. This lady is the director of the Tennessee Trail of Tears Association, and she's they're going to put signs on Lewis Chapel coming down Henson Gap and through Dunlap, and we'll direct you to the park, and then you can get out there and you can really walk. Most of the Trail of Tears across the United States is covered in asphalt.
Yeah. Well, now getting back a little bit to the event this on the 4th and 5th. The cost is $10 to get in, right?
$10 if you're under 12 on Saturday. We do not charge. You're with a guardian or a parent. You won't be charged. This is the only event that we ask for an admission or a donation to the park, and so we're not paying a promoter. We own our own sound system. Everything that we put on, I think the chamber this year is going to do concessions for the chamber, and we're not going to handle concessions. We were just limited on the number of volunteers that we have. So it is going to be a main event for our facility there. Keeps the museum going, and we're optimistic that we're going to have one of the best festivals, because the country's been closed down for this virus.
Right.
And people are wanting to get out. The amphitheater has got plenty of space.
Yes.
That can handle probably easily 1,000 to 2,000 people that can be 6 feet apart.
Right.
And if they want to be, and I don't the restrictions have been lifted, and so we're going to go full blast with our festival, and we know there are going to be some of the best music in the valley.
Whoops. Well,
but we have a lot of new exhibits in the museum. The museum will be open. It's always without charge, and we will allow camping. We want to reiterate to everybody, pets are not allowed in the park on the day of the festivals. No pets are allowed. And a lot of people like their pets, but that little toy poodle and a big German Shepherd or a Great Dane does not mix. And children, we do not want an instance where someone's animal gets destroyed because of that, or someone injured. So they will not be allowed. They will be turned away if they come up there with a pet. So during this event, no pets will be allowed in the park. And we know that's an inconvenience of people. I own a pup that I keep in the house, and but it's not going to be up there, and nobody else is there. And we want to make it a safe event,
right,
for all the people there, and enjoyable. And we do have our grass amphitheater. You better bring a lawn chair or a blanket.
Right.
And that's another reason we don't want pets there, because pets use the facilities on the ground, and that's where people sit. So we don't want those to interfere with that.
No.
But we do have approximately, for a lot of people don't realize, I know there's a map here at the chamber showing our trail network. We have over 8 miles of intermediate to rough walking trails in the park. We have a lot of people that are using the park now for their walking. They're not paved, they're all sandy dirt or trails, but we have 8 miles. The Dunlap Police Department, now mayor, brought their police 4-wheel drive Honda off-road vehicle up there, and they went around because we wanted to show them where we had trails in case someone breaks a leg or falls or gets lost or whatever. And he rode around, and we took the odometer reading. So we know there's 8 miles. Some of it goes off the park on private land, and what's inside the park's probably about 3.5 miles of trails, and everything else is just outside the boundaries, and it could be subject to closure. But we've got a map that's in color now that directs you. If it's a green trail, it will be easy walking for almost anybody. The yellow, the Trail of Tears, is considered a yellow trail. That's for people who do a lot of walking. And then we've got the orange trail, which is getting rough. And then we've got a red trail. That's the incline going up the mountain. That is for serious, avid hikers only, and with hiking boots, not tennis shoes, hiking boots. And we tell everybody, this is the trees of rocks of Tennessee. We have rattlesnakes and copperheads.
Yeah.
And be aware of that. And at certain times of year, there'll be chiggers and ticks and bees and wasps and yellow jackets and all those things. So those some of the outdoor things you have to deal with in Tennessee. But we do have a lot of people who walk the trails, and we will give you a free map right now in the museum if you want to try those out. And we have a number system so that if you're out walking and you find the number, well, the markers on the trees, there'll be little tags on there. That number will give you a number on that map, and you'll know where you're at. So some people get lost. Yeah. We understand that, and we've tried to work with the 911 center because we know that's going to start getting a lot of use, and they've got the map so that if someone gets in trouble up there, then they will know where they're at based on those numbers on those trees, and we can direct. Yeah. We've not had any problem like that. but we're trying to think ahead, and that's the
sure.
reason the trail map was made, so people, and it's made looking north as a map, and I did the artwork on it, so it's tried to make it look at it in a way somebody who's never been here before could look at it and say, I understand this map, and it's not it's a 3D type drawing, and it shows all of the coke ovens and things, and then we're getting ready to make a new brochure for the park that will hopefully be available for the festival.
Well, good. Was there anything else you'd like to add before we close?
We're always needing volunteers. Anybody would like to come and help us in any way. We've been very fortunate over the 30-something years that we've been involved with this, 34 years, 35, to have our museum was donated to us. A man by the name of David Henry Gray died and left us in his will. That was a $71,000 donation to our facility, and we are able to build that museum with that. We just recently had some land donated to the park a few years ago. One of our members moved back to Mobile. He is a doctor. He bought some land on the Sequatchie River, and he and his wife made a contribution of 5 acres down in the Hudlow Ridge area that joins the Sequatchie River. We have negotiated a deal with the county. It was donated to us to sell to raise money for our museum. We're hoping to build a big addition onto our building. And so the county has looked at it, and they've decided this is a perfect place for an outtake for the canoes and rafts that will be used in the Sequatchie River, because they're going to put an intake here at the old Rainbow Bridge. So they're buying that, and we've settled on a price, and it's been approved in the budget. So the paperwork has been done, and that will be good for the county for tourism benefits. It'll benefit us because that money is going to be used to add to our building. We're going to hopefully build on a performance hall in the museum that will be a concert hall and a veterans. Everything that'll be on the walls will be veteran related, from the Civil War, Revolutionary War, all the conflicts. So that's going to be a big addition to our museum, and we'll be able then to have concerts in the winter, bluegrass style type things, and then meeting space. So we've had a group of computers donated to the park recently. A guy came up there and asked us, could we use some computers? And he was he donated us 5 laptops.
Well,
we've been very beneficial with donations from various people that are interested in what we're doing, and we're not. That is a working man's museum. The working people of this country built this country, and so ours museum is devoted to those people who made the impact for the Industrial Revolution. And of course the coke and coal mining was a big part of this county, what really helped grow this town. And so now it's a historic park and not an industrial site, and actually in Tennessee there's not one single operating coal mines, which is a shame because the United States does have the largest coal reserves in the world, but that's changed, and I think the day will come back when the oil is exhausted and they're going to say energy is what runs this country. And a wind power or solar is not going to provide the demands unless technology really improves some things. So coal was what my people did, and many thousands of people in this area were involved in the coal mining, but that's gone on, and now we're preserving the history of it. And this Dunlap railroads were brought into this region. My biggest, I feel really got involved in trying to preserve this history because we lost the old railroad station that used to be right here behind the chamber that was available for $1, and nobody saw the need in the 70s to preserve it. Then the railroad was offered, and there was a big thing. They're going to have the world's 28-mile bicycle trail. Nobody saw the need to preserve the railroad to have a bike trail from here to Jasper. That would have been one of the biggest economic boons for tourism. That if that had happened, it's too late now. It's gone. That will never happen. But it was there, and the right people didn't take the opportunity, and we tried to save that railroad. So our goal is preserve history, and that's how, for education, I have a Young Scholars program coming here from Warren County here next month. I'll have 100 students. They're coming in a busload for 5 days, and they're going to be, I'm giving them a tour of the coke ovens. They're doing it under a specific program for their school system, and they're interested in our history, and we want the local people to understand our history is worth saving. No matter what it is, it's worth saving. So we're hopeful people come to our Bluegrass Festival and support what we're doing. It's good music, and it's comparatively cheap. If anybody's been to a concert lately away from Dunlap, I paid more to park my car at Riverbend. I paid $15 the last time I was at Riverbend just to park my car. Not to get in, just to park my car. Right. We charge $10 to get into this festival, and it's a good thing. But we're hopeful and appreciate your time to have us on to help let people know about it.
Well, appreciate you, Carson. Thank you very much for being here. And again, you can catch us on BTC Fiber YouTube page as well as BTC Fiber's Channel 18. So view us there, and we'll see you next time. Hey everybody, this is Glenn Edison from Valley Views. We appreciate you watching our shows, and we would like for you to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, as well as like and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative, your full-service telecommunications provider right here in the Sequatchie Valley.